Bring your cup and take a seat. Fill it up, coffee, wine, or tea. Come find what you're looking for. A good pour.
Welcome back to A Good Pour. I am Kathryn Good, your host. Today we are doing something very fun. We've had a previous guest, Amy Gleaves, a life coach and a very good friend of mine, and we're going to let AI guide our conversation today.
Okay.
What I wanted to do, this is my experiment.
Okay.
I loaded the summary.
Okay. That's what we talked about.
Of what we talked about. And so typically, especially when I have first-time guests, it's like, tell me about you and the good work you add to the world and how you pour back into yourself. And all those things are still true. But since you have your own podcast, Unquiet You, which is still one of my favorite names for a podcast ever. It has all those transcripts, right? So, which is why we talked about doing the podcast can help all kinds of marketing, especially as we try to show up in AI.
Yes.
So I asked it to go and pull just some research based on your transcripts. So then I asked it, based on our last conversation, so the conversation we had last time, how has Amy's journey changed or shaped? Because I know you don't love the word change, but I mean, how have you been shaped since you were on the podcast last? Because I think it's so interesting, one, that we can put our words and then they're in a transcript, and then now they're showing up in, wherever.
That's fair, yeah.
But I also think it's a summary based on all these transcripts. Okay. And so I'm curious what you think. So we've talked a lot about the benefit, especially, when we're talking about marketing of the podcast. Personally, what has it done for you?
The podcast? Mm-hmm. Oh, I think it's just made me feel like I'm on a different level. Like, I love talking to people about it. And like, even in the beginning, I think I didn't talk about it. And it was actually my daughter. I don't know where we were, but someone said, "What do you do for a living?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm a life coach." And I said, "I have a podcast." And they're like, "Oh my God, what's your podcast?" Whatever. And so, we talked about it, whatever. And afterwards she was like, "That's the first time you ever talked about your podcast to someone you didn't know."
Wow.
And I hadn't even thought about it, I think, because I was just like, oh, that's just part of my business. It's, I think I don't know, for me personally, like, it was a long journey for me to stand and own like what I did. And, because I think for a long time, I'm very much, I don't have to be the loudest in the room, and I don't, I'm kind of in the back. Sometimes I'm very much an observer, but so I just think I've noticed myself like talking about it more. And I actually really love the podcast. I knew I would, because I love talking and I love like talking about things. And like, social media has been great. And like, when you do my marketing, but those little clips are so hard to get the full story of what. Yeah. So when people ask me about topics, I'm like, this is why I love doing podcasts, because you can talk about the whole topic.
When you're prepping for it, do you like it?
Yeah, actually I do.
Then, okay. Yeah. Because some people, I feel like they're like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And then they get in the room and they love it.
Yeah.
And then other people really like the whole process.
I like the whole process now. I think in the beginning it was I was like, well, I don't really know how to word this. I don't really know what I want to say. And then, and now I have learned that I don't come into it with like, I'm trying to impress, or I'm like, I have to be perfect. It's just, I think all of my listeners actually know my tone now, and they kind of know, like, there are some things, like, I hate saying the word like, and I keep saying it. And so I work on the, like, I keep saying it. I'm probably going to say it the rest of the day. But some of those things I want to stop saying. But I love.
Do you listen to your episodes?
I do.
I've never once listened to one of mine.
I listen to every episode.
I can't.
Really?
It's a little bit of my voice. I think hearing my own voice, you can clone your voice in AI now.
Oh.
And so like, I loaded like 3 hours of me speaking, like when I have spoken into, it's called 11 Labs. There's other 11 Labs is the one I hear the most about, and the one I've tried. I don't like this, because I feel like we have to choose where we're going to show up authentically. Yeah. And in a world that is increasingly just noise and fake, like, I don't think we should be giving our voice to AI and but I also want to know that these things are existing, right?
Yeah.
So when I plug it in, and it doesn't get it all correct, even when I hear people who I know have spent hours upon hours training their voice in AI, and I'm still like, it's still not right.
Oh, interesting.
But it is, I have this weird North Carolina / Tennessee accent. When I went to a conference in Cleveland last year, and I kept thinking I had something in my nose because they were looking at me like I was strange. And I was like, it is my accent.
It's your accent.
And so, and I don't know. It's probably, I feel like I walk into a room pretty confident, and I don't question how I sound.
Yeah.
Until I hear it. And then
That's interesting. I think I started listening to myself for the opposite, so that I would start liking my voice.
maybe I just need to listen and I'll like it.
Never liked my voice. And
Yeah, that's
so
the way
when
I feel.
the first couple of podcasts, I was like, oh, I don't like it. And then funny enough, I was getting my nails done at a new nail salon, and this man, the owner, comes up to me and he said, do you have a podcast?
Wow.
And I said, yeah. And it was the podcast on step parenting. And he just married someone with kids. And so I don't even know how he found me on social media or something. Anyway, he found a clip, listened to the podcast, and he said, I love your voice. And I was like, huh. And I looked at my daughter. She was with me that day, and she started laughing. She was like, you hate your voice. I was like, I know. It's so fun. But then after that, every time I listened, I was like, I actually like my voice.
Yeah. Yeah.
So but I can also tell, I think my voice is changing a little bit from, like I feel like what it used to be, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But when I'm not in Tennessee and I go somewhere, people are like, oh, we know where you're from. And I'm like, I don't think I have that much of a Southern accent, but now I'm just like, I have to embrace it because it is what it is. I mean, it's
it's
who
a part
I
of
am,
us.
right?
It's a part of us. I just don't. Anyway.
Yeah.
So interesting you talk about the step parenting thing, because one of the things we've talked about, and when DJ's looked at your analytics, it's the more specific the topic. Like when we talk about something big, like, I don't know, identity, like there's so many podcasts on that. And so for you to come down and like how to be a really good step parent, and even try to get it more specific than that is where people, and it's the right people showing up to listen, right? And it's not, yes, if you're going to do this, we want numbers.
Yeah.
But it is also the right people.
Right.
And so when we have these topics, and we have the transcript that then lives on, on YouTube. And just so any listener knows, the reason this works is we can put the same transcript on your website and it's helpful, but YouTube has so much more authority as a site. And so when we load it in there as that transcript, it gets easy, picked up way, way quicker. But again, it's so when someone searches life coach in Hendersonville, you're going to be way more likely to show up in AI because of these transcripts. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So to end, I'm just going to ask AI, based on Amy's transcripts. What do you think is next for Amy?
Oh, interesting. Marriage, kids. No, I'm just kidding. No kids.
Just say what it says.
No more kids.
No more kids. How many do you have? Plus grandchildren.
I have enough for all of us.
Okay, so based on Amy's transcripts and how her voice has already evolved, here's what looks next for her in her direction. She moves from coaching sessions to broader leadership.
Oh, interesting.
Her language points beyond one-to-one work. She speaks to groups. She names shared exercises. She invites collective reflection. Expect more speaking, workshops, or guided experiences. How do you feel about that?
I would say that's probably pretty spot on.
You build work around seasons, not fixes. Your focus shifts from solutions to accompaniment. Programs or content likely center on transition, identity shifts, and rebuilding sessions rather than goals or outcomes. We've talked some about that.
Yeah.
You claim your role as a voice, not only as a helper. You no longer position yourself mainly as support. You are someone who is willing to say hard truths out loud. You always have been. Your podcast becomes the front door, not a side project. That is amazing.
That.
Okay.
I like that.
You integrate story more than strategy. Your work leans into lived narrative, less teaching frameworks, more personal reflection tied to meaning, choice, and integrity. You're already doing that. You narrow further and deepen impact. Your audience stays specific. Women navigating disruption, women redefining themselves, less reach, more resonance. You treat good work as formation. Your definition of work continues to shift from productivity to formation. With you, who you become while doing the work matters as much as what you produce. In short, Amy's next chapter looks less like scaling services and more like stewarding a voice. Good work for you becomes presence, truth-telling, and helping others stay honest while life reshapes them.
Oh, I like that. I should send that to my marketing team.
Isn't that just so interesting that AI can tell you that?
That is interesting. Yeah.
I mean, there's other things I would say. It doesn't know it all, right?
Yeah,
And that's why
sure.
Like, we can't take this and say this is your path.
But I think some of that stuff we actually met about earlier and talked about. So yeah, I think that's pretty spot on. Yeah. It's funny, the word help that it keeps saying over and over and over. I was actually redoing some things the other day, I think to send to you guys or something. But as I was writing some things out, I was like, I have always been known as a helper. And I'm like, I think that's totally shifted for me. And I do think I'm a helper, like but I also think it's so much different and so much bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people used to come to me, and I think some people, and I have some clients, it's funny, when they first sign on, they want me to fix their problem or they want me to tell them what to do. And I'm not that person. I'm not a fixer. I'm not going to fix your I could. It's like when my kids come to me and ask me something, I'm like, as the mom, I want to say, well, I can tell you how to fix this right now, but I'm like, that's not my role either. And so I don't fix my kids' problems. I don't fix anyone's problems.
But I think you're still a helper in that you're helping them find their voice.
Yes, that's the whole point. It's like, I want them to find their voice. And I think we forget we have a voice.
Yeah.
I think I always say if everyone could just find their voice and find their inner happiness, I just think the world would be so much happier and we wouldn't have a lot of the things we have that aren't nice in the world.
I agree with that. Oh, we have to find our voice to use it well, right?
Yeah.
We can't use it well.
I think we've been shut down. I think a lot of people feel shut down. And I think it comes from childhood. I think you're silenced for different reasons along the way, or you're told that this is just the way it's supposed to be and you have to fall in line. And I take a lot of slack for family dynamics and the way I do that. But I take a lot of slack from people who are afraid to have a voice in their own family. And so I'm looking at it like, I hope my kids create families based off this new thinking that we don't have to create an identity just based off what our parents tell us to do or what society tells us our role in the family is. And I think that we all have such good gifts and talents. And I think everyone's path is meant for them. And it's not, as well as I know my child or any of my children, or, it's not for me to decide what their path is, because I can never truly know.
Or when it changes.
Yeah. I mean, I can't. I can say like, oh, I just know so much about this personality of my child, but I really will never know her inner depth, because she's experiencing such a different life than what I'm experiencing. And so I just think if we could all appreciate that more and appreciate that our life is not meant for anyone to understand.
Ooh.
So it's just,
That's good.
It's for us. Yeah.
That's good. Anything else you want to share today? Was this interesting?
Yeah, no, I think it's really good. I would have never thought to do that, but I'm still learning the chat thing with you guys, but like, I think that's pretty on point.
I think when we give anything, right? Like if we were to give another human being all of these transcripts and have them pour over it, then there's going to be, summaries or here's some guesses. But how quick is it that we could do this? Right?
And it just pulls.
And in some ways, you've had a diary since you've started this podcast. It's living on YouTube.
That's so true, actually.
I know.
I actually was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was the man. He was a Buddhist, but he was speaking to a group, and the people were saying like, we're so afraid that AI is taking our jobs or whatever. And I thought he had such a cool thing to say. He was like, at one point, all of that was created by man. Like at some point, the man created the computer, and his whole thing was nobody's taking your job. Like start being you, start showing up as you, utilize these things. He's like, you use a computer now to better your business, right? It's not, the computer's not taking over your life.
Yep.
And I just thought that was a really cool way to look at it.
We get to choose. We get to choose.
Yeah.
And we get to choose how we use it. We get to choose, you know, if it's going to make us, there's so many things in this world. Everything can be used for good or bad.
Everything,
right?
everything, right.
And so are we going to use it for good? I have, the last couple of times I've taught, when I taught the kids, I taught a group of juniors and seniors at the new Innovation Center, and I showed the clip of Wall-E. Have you seen Wall-E?
No, I have not. But
So Wall-E is, they're all on a spaceship because the Earth is destroyed. They're all on, Josh, you know Wall-E, right? You tell me if I get any of this wrong. So they're all on a spaceship, but they're all basically in front of a computer, even though they're all on the same ship.
Okay.
They're all just like, they're in these buggies, they're laid back, they're huge, and they're basically just talking to each other on screens.
On screens. Okay.
And so one of them falls off, right? And it kind of like, she wakes up. And so she's like, I didn't know we have a pool. They have these beautiful pools and no one's in the pool because they're choosing to basically be on their screens, listen to the noise, have things done for them. Like there's robots that come and do their hair and all these things. And so it's just like we are living a life right now that we get to choose.
So true. Yeah.
We get to choose.
Yeah.
And are we going to let social media take over? Are we, you know, are we going to, and again, now that we have so much more noise and so much more, is this real or not? Like what is going to show up is this.
Yes.
Because I can see you and I can have a conversation with you and I know that you're real.
Yeah.
And so as we move into this, we have no idea what's real. Do we move from behind these screens?
Right. Yeah.
We get to choose.
Yeah. And I've been reading a lot and I don't know if it's the AI world or if it's just, I think everything comes back full circle, but you know, I noticed like with my youngest, they are much more back to getting in communication face to face. Like, let's do that versus some of my older kids. Like, I remember having a group of girls at my house and they were all texting each other. And I'm like, if you're texting each other, let me send you back to your house so I don't have to feed you. Like, you're not here to you can do that from each other's houses, right? Yeah. Like, but now I notice like with my daughter, it's much more, I mean, she still texts and all the things, but like it's much more in person and there's just that more. And I'm like, I hope we're coming back to that.
I think we are. And I think that there's I mean, I hear like in-person events, you know, like not trade shows specifically, because I think we're all kind of tired of being sold something all the time. But the in-person gatherings where we learn from each other, we're not just learning behind a screen. But it's also this, if work speeds up, if AI helps us do things quicker, which means we can choose how we spend an extra 10 hours a week. So do we spend it in community? Yeah. Do we spend it, or do we take our family on vacation more?
Yeah,
do we, you know, like what do we do with it?
Yeah.
And if we're just pouring back into the machine, like, are we better? And that's my whole thing with the good AI. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I feel like we could talk. We've been talking like an hour. So Josh is like,
okay, well, it's time to
but
go.
Thanks for kind of doing this experiment.
Yeah.
I woke up and I was like, I had this idea and I thought she's got enough transcript that this could work and just see.
Yeah.
But maybe you learned something too.
No, I think that's really cool. Yeah. I'm excited about that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for all the good work you do. And thanks for being my friend.
Yeah. Thank you for being my friend. And thanks for all the good work you do for me.
It's my pleasure.